The first 3 weeks of the eruption here in Hawaii, crazy things would happen in the middle of the night. A new fissure would open up and it would threaten a new neighborhood. Thousands of people were evacuated from their homes. I started the Hawaii Tracker Facebook group to help people understand what's going on and get their questions answered.
Hey, how's it going? We're live. This is Fissure 20.
We had hundreds of people all throughout the neighborhoods sending in videos, articles, and images. We spend a lot of time making sure the accurate information gets out.
This is live. There's still lava moving.
They weren't just sharing a story, they were helping their neighbor. If a family was being evacuated, my group would just jump in and help out. So it was huge. They were watching out for each other.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the support from everybody.
As we go through this, we're growing closer together as a community. When tragedies like this strike, you really realize how much you need each other.
I'm sorry, guys. I guess I was muted there. Hello, everybody. I'm geologist Philip Ong. I'm here with Mr. Dane DuPont from HVERI, the Hawaiian Volcano Education and Resilience Institute. Today is May 3rd, 2024, 6-year anniversary from the 2018 eruption, Dane. Special program today. How are you doing? And tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, we got a little bit of a special lineup today. We have a roundtable discussion coming your way with members of the community, stakeholders that have been active, keeping up with different projects and trying to add to resilience of our community following the 2018 eruption. And this roundtable, we're hoping to explore exactly that. What is community resilience and disaster preparation? And how do we move forward, looking back at what we learned in 2018, all of those hard lessons.
Yes, we're looking forward to that today. We realize there's a lot happening on Kilauea as well. So we will provide a summary to start off our update today, but we'll leave most of that discussion for next week unless something happens before next week, in which case we'll jump in and cover that live as it happens. So anything else before we get into it, Dane? I know we're a little bit of a schedule today.
Yeah, I think that's it. If anybody has any questions for the live stream or for the summary, just put them in the comments and we might get them to it. We'll try and get to them later, but we're not going to do the Q&A immediately afterwards. But we will be looking at the chat as we do the discussion.
All right. Thanks, Dane. So all right, that's coming up here shortly, the paths past disaster. But to start, let's rearrange our screen here. And let's start with our Hawaiian Volcano Summary. So in our Hawaiian Volcano Summary this week, there's been an escalation of earthquakes under Kilauea Summit, especially underneath the Upper East Rift connector, this area here, between Kilauea caldera and Maunaulu. There have still been earthquakes happening in the South Caldera region, as both these areas seem to be inflating as magma comes into the volcano. The USGS states that this is due to pressure within the summit, which has activated this region before. Really, the magma is coming in and it's spreading in an area all through here to cause these earthquake effects. The earthquake numbers, raw, here they are, earthquakes per day. You can see that since a week ago, we've jumped up from in a range of 100 earthquakes per day to now we're in a range of 300 to 400 earthquakes per day across all of Kilauea. And looking at the USGS information statement that was released last night, they essentially note that the activity is reflective of increasing pressurization in the magmatic system underlying the Kilauea summit region. So there's a lot of information here. We won't cover every little bit of it, but you can see there's been more than 1,600 earthquakes in the 6 days since April 27th along that chain of craters road in the South Caldera area. Most are smaller than magnitude 3. There was a 3.3 on the 28th, and a 3.1 yesterday at 4 p.m.-ish. There has also been a period of low-frequency activity of magma movement, these long-period earthquakes, showing that magma is actually flowing underground through these pathways. They note that there is inflation from both the Maunaulu region, slightly slower and slightly faster in the South Caldera region. And ultimately, what they say is that in the past 60 years, there have been approximately 50 intrusions and 5 eruptions in this region. So most of the time, this activity does not lead to an eruption, but it can still. That's still a possibility. What we can expect is hard to predict at this point, but magma could keep coming in with no eruption. It could keep coming in and intrude either southwest rift zone, as it did in January, or the southeast rift zone further. It could also erupt in the summit region. In that scenario, we'd imagine there would be rapid pressurization with accelerated ground formation and earthquakes. And there is possibility, the final one, of an eventual eruption outside the caldera in the upper portion of one of the rift zones there. So that's the USGS update there. I thought we'd go in a little more detail here. Here is the map of activity for the past 2 days, showing where these earthquakes are located. This is plotted by depth. So these are all in a shallow region. The more maroon colors are above sea level here. And one interesting thing is if we look at the GPS stations here, this is a crater rim station. It is moving to the west while rising rapidly. If we look over here to the outlet station, it is moving to the west and rising rapidly as well. And we come down to, let's pick one over here. This is Ahua station. It is also rising quite rapidly down here, but it is moving to the east. So these are 2-year GPS plots. Each panel is a different component, east, west at the top, north, south in the middle, up, down at the bottom. And ultimately what this is showing us is that, let me get this out of the way here, so that these stations are moving that way. This one is moving this way, and these ones are also moving this direction. So really the nexus of ground swell is right in here, and that's where the pressure is building and pushing this whole block this direction there. As we described last week, this connector is both a pathway for magma to move through, and also it's the boundary of this Kauai fault triangle, and as pressure moves it, it can just cause it to slide and activate as well. So probably both of those things are going on. Interestingly, there is a cluster between Hi'iaka crater and Pu'uhuluhulu down here, right at the bend of the Middle East rift zone. And so we'll be looking in the next week at what happens next, because this could be leading to the opening of magma into that area there. So that's a little bit of the background there. And for those on the lower East Rift, I thought I can point out that all the stations there are all going down and moving in similar patterns as before, with the only exception being Kamoamoa. The reason being Kamoamoa is over here. It's the most northernmost station. So activity here could actually push it to the east, but it's still dropping down in relative terms. So no magmas currently pushing anything in the east rift zone upwards, except close to the caldera there. So all clear for now. There has been a new webcam put up by the USGS on Maunaulu looking northwest across. This is Pauahi crater right in here. Hiaka crater is just behind it back there, and a summit beyond there in the clouds today. Let's just look very quickly. Within the last couple hours, there's only been one earthquake here in that still region. So they're coming in pulses. And right now it's relatively quiet. The peak was a couple of days ago, but we expect to have more cycles of earthquakes coming through in the coming week or so. That's Kilauea. Very briefly, Maunaulu is much quieter. No earthquakes at the summit region here in the last month. And overall rates for the past 5 years, these are earthquakes per month now, are very, very low. This here is the peak of earthquakes ahead of the eruption in 2022. So you see we're very calm compared to that. And that's our Hawaiian volcano summary for this week. A lot more we could discuss here, and so we'll get into that in the future, but that's what we necessarily have to get at today before we turn to our special presentation. So Dane, with that, let's see here. Let's put up let's rearrange our screen here. And we're going to bring on our Paths Past Disaster title back on here. And if you're all ready, Dane, let's see what comes next. We're going to have the video. All right, thanks for your patience, you guys. We have a little bit of connecting things in the back end here between our Zoom call and our If you're ready, yeah. If you're ready, yeah.
Yeah, we can go ahead and get into the update by Charisse and DPW and the Kilauea recovery team. 1 second while we get set up and positioned. Right. I think we're ready. Is that good, Bill?
Yes, there is a little bit of a lag there, but give it a few seconds. And...
All right. I think we are ready to go there. Reese from Department of Public Works, thank you for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you for having me tonight. I am Charisse Ikane, Public Information Officer. And I just wanted to give an update of the status of our projects. So can I get Jen to share her slides? Is that possible? If not, I can just give a verbal update.
You have permissions to do so.
Okay. Second. So as Jen is doing that, we do have 3 different projects that DPW is working on. We have Highway 137. I'm sorry, 4. Highway 137, as well as Upper and Lower Pohiki, Mackenzie, and Four Corners Lighthouse Road. So that's our 4 main projects. Our first segment is our Highway 137. So bidding for this section has been completed, and we are now in contract negotiations with our lowest bidder, who at this time is AC Model Contracting, and you can see that on our procurement page on our DPW website. Construction is scheduled to start by the end of June. Yes, the end of June. Just wanted to say that again. Okay, so that's that update, and then we can go ahead to the next page sorry. Oh yeah. So the second segment, this is the Upper and Lower Pohiki. We are still in the process of acquiring land. The final process of land acquisition should be completed by June 2024. The next steps after that will be to complete the design plan, and the bidding process will begin shortly after that. Now, we already have the design plan, but we cannot have a final until this acquisition goes through. And our third segment, again, is Mackenzie, which is on the bottom. We are currently in progress for our design on that one. And then our Lighthouse Road, it has been moved to the last part of our project because of a lot of reasons, but recommendations of FEMA to ensure that our cultural and natural resources are being addressed. So that is the update. This here is still the schedule. Again, Highway 137, starting in Q2 at the end of June, and everything else will follow. Okay. That's all I have on updates of the road. Jen Myers will now take it to update more on the Kilauea lava recovery. Thanks.
Thanks, Cherise. Yeah, like she said, I'm Jen Myers. I'm with the County of Hawaii, our disaster recovery program. Excited to show everybody our progress on the voluntary housing buyout program. We are at nearly 300 primary homes acquired. We'll be moving to secondary homes here soon. But what I really want folks to take away from this is, aside from that number that's being circled on screen, the number below it, that's $56 million of funding that we've expended so far. That's going straight into the pockets of those who were impacted by the disaster. So that's something that we're really proud of. Let me know if you can hear this.
We can
Great.
play it for you. We can play it for you though. Let's go ahead and do that if we can, Phil. We can go ahead and we can end the screen share there. Jen, please play the video. Can you hear me?
Oh, Jen.
Well, this was Well, this was by far the greatest activation we have had since we began. The turnout was phenomenal. There was so much education and information. People had such a great time. I think everybody loved this opportunity to get together and learn about food sustainability.
My favorite part of the panel was just hearing everybody speak so passionately about the work that they're doing to contribute to strengthening Puna's food systems. I think one of the big messages that came out of today was this sense of reawakening, getting back to our roots, and that is, getting our hands dirty and working in Aina, because it is something that is healing and restorative, but is just so critical to our food security and sustainability, and also building local economy.
It was inspired by SOAR, which stands for Strengths, Opportunities, Aspirations, and Results. And so in our section today, we looked at food access. So exploring what it means for folks to have the ability to consume the foods that they want to eat, foods that are culturally appropriate, foods that they can afford, that they're available and accessible to them. Yeah, that was my favorite thing. Just making new connections to help better ourselves and as well as other organizations so that we all can level up together.
This has been a success beyond like our wildest imagination, and I just appreciate everybody continuing to show up and telling their friends and neighbors about this, because it's been growing since the very first one that we hosted in Leilani Estates. This continues to grow, and so there's this now momentum around community and county working together to just build a better Puna.
Right. Thank you for that update, Kilauea Recovery Team and DPW. Appreciate it there. And with that, I think we can go ahead and get into the panel that we have prepared and do some introductions, huh? So we have a whole bunch. We have looks like 5 guests right now, and that are going to be participating in the panel. And we might have more joining us as we proceed. This is to have a conversation and talk openly about where we are at, where we came from in terms of the resilience, preparation, trying to respond to the disasters that we know are coming eventually. It's only a matter of time till we're doing another dance again. So it's how are we getting ready for it? Are we better prepared? Have we not improved? Are we in the same spot? Are we greatly better? So let's have that discussion. But first, let's go ahead and do some introductions. I'm going to pass it around and ask each person to do a brief introduction of themselves and their organization. I will start by picking go counterclockwise. I'm going to pick Eileen from Malama Opuna. Eileen was a great help to us in the beginning stages of our nonprofit before we were even a nonprofit, helping us figuring out the whole way in which this world operates. So we're immensely thankful to her, and we welcome her to the show.
Why, thank you, Dane, and happy anniversary to Pele and Isla Au. Anyway, my name is Eileen O'Hara, and I've lived in Puna 44 years, Lower Puna, and I've served as the District 4 council member during the 2018 eruption. I was a bit distraught at the county's emergency response, given no one in charge was really familiar with the Puna district. Our mayor at the time dictated to civil defense that no elected officials could enter the command center, even to receive briefings. This violated the civil defense emergency response plan, which stipulates that elected officials need to be included. And it put me at serious disadvantage as misinformation was being supplied by civil defense regarding flow directions, street names, subdivision names. Then since leaving the office in 2019, I've led a local 501c3 nonprofit, Malama Opuna, and we've assisted with several private road restorations, helped put community food gardens in and disseminated food baskets, and fiscally hosted several individuals and organizations to receive lava recovery funds.
Awesome, thank you. Awesome, thank you. All right, we will pass it next to Auntie Kīlauea. We've been working on the Oiki boat ramp for years now and become close friends, and we really appreciate her support. Yeah, it's great to have you on the program once again.
Mahalo nui, Jane, and thank you all for having me today. It's a special day for us 6 years later after our historic eruption. And I'm the trustee for the James and Newland Kilauea estate, and our properties are located in Opihikau and Pohoiki. I also am honored to sit as the RCA co-chair for the built environment. And it's been a long road, no pun intended, but I think we've made great progress. As long as we stick together and we are resilient, no question. I'm hopeful that in the near future, we will realize the results of our efforts. I personally believe the government from federal to state to county was not prepared for the event, the historic event, and the ramifications after the eruption. But we're growing, we're learning what we all share together. I'm grateful that no one was hurt or died in our eruption. That is a very big thing for me, knowing that no one was really suffered any further, than we already have. I want to really make mention that our kupuna are always with us. We're from Puna for 6 generations, and they guide us and they protect us, and they make certain that we do things in the right way in order to move forward. So I want to thank our community for their not only resilience, but for their mana that we share together and we feed off each other, and we've come a very long way since 2018. Mahalo plenty.
Thank you. All right, Lori from Haka. Again, it was hard not to know, even maybe before Haka was known as Haka, the group that was going around helping with the animal rescues in Leilani Estates and the rest of the Lori's Rift Zone. Lori, you want to give an introduction to everybody? Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Hi, so excuse me. As Dane mentioned, I'm from Haka, which is the Hawaii Animal Kuleana Alliance, which we were not in 2018. In 2018, we were a ragtag bunch of Facebook users who saw a need to, much like Hawaii Tracker, create a hub for people to communicate about giving and receiving assistance when it came to evacuating animals, because there's just not a lot of planning around that typically. And so we ended up coming together and just going for a grassroots effort that included, rescuing animals from people's properties who weren't able to return, offering fosters and feed and just whatever we could to people who kind of lost everything but still had, were able to save their animals, which we were grateful for. So I think we helped over 1,000 animals at that time. And since then, we've kind of gotten our act a little more polished and become an official nonprofit. And since then, we've had the amazing opportunity to work with the Puna Strong group from the county, and which has offered us the opportunity to work with all of these amazing people here. And we are just trying to do the best that we can to help Puna, Hawaii County, and the state of Hawaii, the Kingdom of Hawaii, to be ready for the next inevitable disaster that happens, both people's pets, people's farm animals, and people themselves. So that's what we're here for.
Thank you. All right, passing it on over. Iopa Mauna Kea, Menapa'a, a great nonprofit. If you haven't seen what they've been working on the east side of Hawaii with all the youth and all the different events, you must not be on Facebook, because it is all over there. And yeah, we thank Iopa for joining us today.
Aloha mai takou, everybody. Philip and Dane, I gotta hand it out to you. I think this is setting the example for others, especially Maui, with what they're going through, and need more of these kinds of follow-up meetings. So good job, you guys. Right on. And I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to be around like-minded people as well too. The people that's on this call right now, and I don't know if you get any more than this, but this is exactly who's supposed to be on this call. And I believe that because everyone on this call, I see you in the community doing and not talking. So that's one big, huge thing. So my name again is Iopa Kaluno Keli Ho'omanawanui, Kamakawahine Mauna Kea, Auna Kealoha. And I say that because I acknowledge both sides of my families. My Auna Kealoha is from Waipio Valley, my dad, and then my Kamakawahine and Mauna Kea is from Kumukahi. And so I feel that that's my home, and this is my home, Puna. And I want to refer Puna as not Puna Lower Puna. This is Puna Makai to me. Just like how Kumukahi, just like how Kalaimanu, just like Ka'akepa, those, we got to bring back our names. So that's who I am, that's where I come from. And I believe this is my responsibility to continue to create these safe spaces for our people. Look forward to the conversation.
Awesome. Thank you, Yopa. And last but not least, definitely. Oh, I am muted. I am muted. Sorry about that. All right. Thank you, Yopa, for that. Last but not least, we have Layla Kīlauea. And really, we met after the eruption, right? And started working again at Boiki, but it was really when Ka'akepa was cited for a potential boat ramp that we really started to talk more seriously. And yeah, come a long way from that, huh? Really, you want to introduce yourself? Thanks for
Oh,
joining us.
yeah. Mahalo, Dane and Phil. Like, oh man, I'm really emotional right now. Uh, it's been a journey for sure. 6 years, 6 years ago, I was sitting here and in my home here where I'm at tonight, today. And it's been a journey for sure. So aloha everyone. Olela ke aloha ko inoa no Puna mai au. I'm Layla ke aloha from Puna. My family's come from generations of this place, and I have children and my family here, and we will be here for many more generations. And I'm thankful to be here to share. We have been on a quite a journey over these years, and really, it's hard. It's been rejuvenating though at the same time. It's definitely created a lot of opportunity for collaboration and working together within our community. And I want to thank the county and, Ashley and Douglas folks for really allowing us to have a voice. I feel that our community, like I would say that our county, because it was really tough in the beginning when the eruption happened, we lost trust within our government. And I've shared this multiple years in a row, but we're regaining that trust and rebuilding that trust amongst them because we're able to have that opportunity to communicate and have an open line of communication. And I'm I'm current executive director for Poako Play Maka, our nonprofit that works in Punamakai, Mahalo Uncle. And I work with the county Kilauea recovery team as well too as the cultural resilience capacity community co-chair, and really trying to identify and work through all these different things. I work really close with Auntie Ku'ule, Eileen and Uncle Yopa and folks, and with Dane and Phil on our boat ramp and our Poiki Park infrastructure, our roads. It's a process. This has been a big, long process, but I want to acknowledge someone really special to me today as well too. Today's my grandmother, Della Matsubar. It's her 98th birthday. And I just want to acknowledge her today as my kupuna who lives in Pepakeo. So happy birthday, Grandma. Love you. And if it wasn't for our kupuna, thank you, Auntie Pule, for sharing that as well too. They have set the foundation, they've laid the foundation, and we're very thankful to be able to carry on their legacy. And with this eruption, it's really created an opportunity to look at what we really need to focus on now, right? Like what is still here, even though places are under lava, those places still exist, right? And so it's given us an opportunity to just take a step back and really work on things that are our Vahipan and our special places. So mahalo to you guys for allowing us this space today.
Thank you. And with that, I think we will dive into the roundtable. And let's talk about our first question. We have a few questions prepared in no particular order, but we're going to throw the first one out there. And it ties into what we're with the Kilauea acting up again. People have been wondering, is it coming back down here? Is it been getting plenty of those messages? So how do you feel the community is prepared, or how do you feel the community is better prepared for the next eruption? That's the ice-breaking question. And any takers can go ahead and take it up, and we'll just unmute yourself if you're ready to talk, and we'll just have a conversation here.
I'll start. Well, I think you two are part of that, what do you call it? A huge part of that preparedness. Because I'll tell you right now, during the whole eruption, you were the go-to. And that's how, seriously, you guys really are the go-to to really help share what's really happening. And so I feel like in that aspect, having that vessel through you folks has been really helpful. So mahalo for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would
that side
second
of it-
that. And thank you guys, because there were so many times that the county had people not familiar with Punamakai, and they gave wrong names and all kinds of things, and you guys were the correct and best information out there. So thank you again for that. But whether or not we're ready, we have to recognize that the next eruption necessarily isn't going to come into the same areas. And that's of concern, because it could go down the South Rift Zone, or it could be an eruption of Mauna Loa, God forbid, but it could be. And are those communities prepared? I'm not sure they are. And for that, I want to recognize the big role that the CERT teams played. That's the Community Emergency Response Teams. They put in over 6,000 voluntary hours, and they were really the ones who got into the communities, got people properly evacuated. They did a mammoth amount of work, and our response could not have been as good as it was. I know they mentioned no one lost their life, and I really credit the CERT teams for that. We should have really strong emphasis on developing CERT teams all across this island, because we are an island prone to natural disasters, not just lava, but there's earthquakes and floods and fires, and with sea level rise, there's going to be coastal inundations. We've got lots of things coming at us. So CERT teams are a real critical element of developing our response to the next eruption.
I agree with you, Eileen. The CERT teams are so important. A lot of our volunteers are CERT certified as well, and I don't know what the numbers look like, but I know my class earlier this year was really full, so that's a good sign. And it spanned all ages. There was a lot of youth there. Older members, like just it spanned all ages, which it was awesome to see. I think too, another way that we've become able to be prepared is, again, a lot of these grassroots initiatives that popped up in 2018 had the opportunity to become formalized. The Vibrant Hawaii hubs are incredibly important to our preparedness and resilience. And so just the opportunity for everybody to take what we started doing and learning and being in the community in 2018 and better formalize that, get more funding, get more recognition, is definitely helps us to be better prepared for next time, because people have a better idea of who to trust and who to go to, and who's going to give them the right information and who's going to be there for them when they need it. And while that's not always government, I'm hopeful to see that trust is being earned back as well.
I'd like to echo what everyone is saying about Hawaii Tracker. You were the go-to for information, factual information, all day long, all night long. And I'm hoping that with the administration of the county now realizing that our community actually leads our community in times of great need, we all come together, and no matter what government is in place, we take charge of what we need to do to help each other. I think the one very big hope that I have is that the new technology that's available for civil defense and all of you can be, and especially the volcano, they've got a lot of new things in place. And I'm hopeful that that will be taken into consideration when we prepare. We always want to be prepared. We don't want to be reactive. And, I believe 2018 was historic in its own, it was totally unexpected. And I think it's a mark in history for us to learn from. And for myself, in sitting in all the meetings that we've had, I've learned a lot, and I'm hoping we can share that with our newcomers who are moving to Puna, who have no clue, what they're living with. Not just all of us, but not only the volcano, but hurricanes. Like we have so many different factions of possible disaster. How we deal with it, I believe the main thing is we take care of each other like we did in 2018. And I really thank you guys for all you did through that entire event.
I'd like to echo that what everybody said, but it's almost like Philip and Damon set this one up for us on now on too. So no. In all seriousness, Hawaii Tracker has been the communication. Um, the question is though, is that do I feel the community is better prepared for the next eruption? I say yes. And it was because of the county's um, commitment to us, the community. I see that as very, very important. I see you all at the meetings, all at the different, you know, interdepartmental stuff that's going on, Puna Strong, Kilauea Recovery, the Vibrant Hawaii systems, but I, for me, I feel that I'm more personally and organizationally, I'm more ready for anything that comes because I've prepared for it. For instance, I've developed my own um communication where I bought my own sat phones, right? And I've got my community members over here with sat phones. When we go down, my sat phones I know gonna work because the kind Gold Rush, the thing work on Gold Rush, and they guys stay on some major deep places where no more power, nothing. And these sat phones work. I couldn't go with the radio because there's too much training involved. At least the sat phones, all I gotta do is hook them up to the internet, the satellites, press couple buttons, and I'm talking to somebody. So I made them easy for me. The other thing too that was really interesting too in this whole thing too that I've got ready to is this piece about having electric power, having power. So I turned to solar, photovoltaic. I started developing that area and I seen some things that I wanted to do with them. Like, for instance, building small little picnic tables with a roof now with solar panels on there so that when people need power to power up their phones, they can do that right there at this little kiosks that I'm earning to put on my property. So when the time comes of an emergency, people can come, sit down, plug in their phones, and still have power and whatnot. So that's a couple of things. The other thing that I looked at really too was about refrigeration. Refrigeration was a big one during ICEL and the recovery pieces where we needed to really take care of our food system, our foods. Yeah, we can grow all the foods in it, but we also need to preserve the foods too. And refrigeration is on big things. So I slowly looked into buying and building different kinds of um refrigeration, and I found a 20-foot container that's gonna serve me at that. I just gotta build one little square kind of foundation, a cement pad, and put it on there, and then power it up. So me personally and organizationally, I feel that I answered that question like I am ready for the next one, and our community is ready for the next one because all of you guys are involved.
We appreciate all your kind words, everybody. I mean, we're not trying to set you up. This is, just
I know, I was just joking, you guys.
I
Yeah,
want to share one last thing, just in respect to that as well too. And I think our Revitalize Puna events have really come a long way in the preparedness of our community. In this last one that occurred, the 10th activation, and looking at the food summit and like where we are as far as food preparedness and stuff, and identifying like all these different resources within our community. That is where a lot of that comes into play, is like being able to have those resources available and know who to go to for the things that you need for those things. So I just wanted to say that last tidbit. Thank you.
And I think Puna has really been a model for the whole rest of the island and other islands as well, really, because we're seeing now the Vibrant Hawaii network of resilience hubs pan out island-wide, of which several of you are part. So that's really amazing to see. And then the collaboration with civil defense as well, as you guys have been saying, the government's taken huge strides in the past several years here to integrate with us. And we're still trying to push forward, and we hope to unveil some new things this year. And so we'll keep that going. And yeah, with that, Dan, you want to take the next one?
I get them. I'll answer it first, please. So how does the Maui fire impact my opinion? I think my opinion doesn't matter. But what the Maui fire will allow me to do was learn from their mistakes. Like a lot of the government agencies that all came and now they don't stay. Well, our job as community members is to make them stay, figure out how to make them stay. Meaning we gotta get involved, we gotta engage them, right? So I've learned also what I learned too with that was is that they never they never prepare themselves for this. So we get on kind of advantage right now. We're kind of preparing ourselves for the next disaster that's going on. The thing is that everybody in every different place get different kind of disasters that they go and do. So like West Hawaii and the Vibrant Hawaii thing, West Hawaii, they tell us, oh, we got to go to this fire retardation kind of thing. I said, well, that's kind of not my kuleana. What I need to know is about wind damage and rain damage and those kinds of stuff over here that I need to know, and volcanic damage that I know that can happen over here. And that's what the Maui fire will allow me to do for really learn what not to do. And then one more thing, I feel that this conversation right here is the next things that Maui guys gonna have to do. They're gonna have to follow up, engage, see where they stay, do qualifying and quantifying measurements so that everything is factual rather than it's just all talk. Because we can talk our brains out and nothing happens. And you know, one thing I said too is like, get great people over there. They're trying to do great things, but nobody's staying the course. Because now, if you look back now, at one point, everybody gonna be gone. So now, what we need to do here is figure out how do we keep everybody to stay here through before I say before A and after Z and in between kind of thing.
I thank you for that, Ioba. And one of the things that I noted when I was observing the whole Maui disaster, it tore at your heartstrings if you have been through 2018. I really felt for everything those people were going through. We didn't have the loss of life that they had, but there were so many lessons that we can take away from that. And one of the most important for us here in Puna is the fact that even with the recovery of the roads that we lost to lava, we still don't have good connectivity in our subdivisions. Almost every one of our subdivisions is built with a long, either private or county boulevard that is a dead end. There's no way to get out except to come back miles up to Highway 130. And should we have a disaster, a coastal disaster, just imagine what that means. Already 130 is overutilized. I mean, we've all been out there and stuck in traffic for hours. And think what it would be like if all of our Puna subdivisions had to empty onto 130 to get out. And this is kind of similar to what happened in Maui. And I find that very upsetting because in 2016, a citizens group put together a really good connectivity plan for Puna Mauka. And that was adopted by the county in 2016, October. And yet none of those connectivity points, connectivity roads have been worked on. We have not made any progress in making those connections. And I see that as really critical for unfortunately, we can expect some kind of disaster might hit us. And especially with Puna Mauka, their disaster might be flooding and not necessarily lava. We need better road connectivity. And I suspect that it's not just in Puna, it's also all over the island, that this really needs to be looked at. And I say that's one of the major takeaways from the Maui experience.
Corey, I know you
All
were
right,
on
I'll
Maui.
hop in.
Yeah, I know you were on
Yeah.
Maui and you had a hand in trying to help with the recovery and the rescue efforts. And you want to tell us a little bit about that, what you learned, and what you're bringing back to Hawaii?
Yeah, so trying to is kind of the operative phrase there. We certainly found a lot of challenges trying to serve Maui. The first of which was something that as an organization we can learn, which is we can't wait until after the disaster has hit to create these relationships with the organizations that are essentially the lead organizations during the disaster. But at the same time, we also learned that a lot of those lead organizations really had no idea how to operate whatsoever in a disaster, and unfortunately didn't utilize our lengthy experience of operating during and after a disaster. One thing we for sure learned is that more organizations and governmental entities need to be trained in the FEMA incident command system, because a lot of people did not understand the idea of, everybody has a role, you report up and all that. So it definitely showed us like we as Hawaii County, because of the experiences we have, are just infinitely further along than some of our neighbor islands. The other thing we learned is one thing that we talk about a lot, which is these underlying issues that each of our counties and islands faces become way more exacerbated during disasters. For us as an animal organization, we see that a lot with people not spaying and neutering and people not microchipping. Those are two really simple things that are just essentially a quicksand issue here in the islands. And so that became worsened when people couldn't find their pets, or community cats were being caught instead of instead of pets and things like that. So that was a big one. And then just everybody understanding their roles and having respect for one another was sometimes a challenge. So yeah, our experiences are pretty specific since they're around animals, but we definitely learned a lot. And then we also it made us grateful for how far along Hawaii County is in that preparedness, in our ability to recover, and just be a more resilient community. Sorry, I'm using all the buzzwords here, but yeah, so we definitely learned a lot from Maui, and it changed a lot of like, oh, okay, this is what we need to do with Oahu if something comes up, because our organization is the only organization in Hawaii dedicated to disaster and emergencies plus animals. So definitely kind of gave us a kick in the butt to start reaching out more to the other counties and just other communities on our island as well, to make sure that we are not just operating in Puna Makai and Puna in general. And we're ready to serve everyone. So yeah.
Awesome, thank you. And it's been great to see you guys, because we started about the same time doing similar stuff and starting from about the same places. And it's great to see you guys, coming along so far and sticking to it and everything along those lines at Hopwood.
Thank you. Same to you. It has been we've been really grateful to go on this journey with all of you guys, because like honestly, there couldn't be better people working on these things to try to help our community.
Real quickly, I have a short answer to this. I feel for Maui, first of all. Talk about pulling heartstrings, Eileen, absolutely. And a lot of us have ohana, in Maui and Lahaina. What really worries me is that we have FEMA as an entity that we have to deal with. Mm-hmm. And that has been the greatest challenge. We're 6 years later. They have to approve every single project, given they're going to give their federal funding. So on a county level, I believe we're as prepared as we can be. far more than we were in 2018. On the state level, I believe they've forgotten we even had an eruption at this point. So we need to remind these people we are still in recovery. And the federal government, it's a great country, and we're a blip on the radar. I say that flippantly because I'm very frustrated with FEMA up until today and further, especially with the boat ramp and our roads and water. The county, I believe, including a change of administration during the recovery period, and we may have another one, we don't know, but we've got to get the federal government and the state to remember us. We're here. We're no longer the stepchild of the state and the federal government. We need to be recognized for another community that needs great help. But I think we're very well prepared as we can be for now. I'm hoping that we can get the federal government and state to step it up sometimes. Thanks.
Just ditto that, Auntie. Yep. Thank
Go
you.
ahead, sorry.
No. It's pretty much exactly what I would say, for sure. I feel like that. What do you call it? That has been a
Now they talk about the progression. First you reject it, and then the rage, and then the acceptance of the order it goes in. But you just get with the Maui thing. I am perpetually stuck in angry mode. I'm just angry at that, and the things that we were yelling about for years. The same things I saw play out there in the worst case scenario, and that I just get angry at it when I think about it, and every aspect of it. It's just I can't get past that part, right? And I'm like, I'm not even sure if I want to, because it's like harness that energy and turn it around, right? And how do we prepare for that next time? But that's just me. It was such a hard experience to watch, right? And I can't even imagine what it was like being there. It's just so sad to see something like that go down. Any other thoughts?
I just following up with what Kūlauea said. The federal agencies that service disasters, not only FEMA, but SBA, getting SBA loans has been just very difficult for us here in Hawaii because they have never, ever dealt with lava before. And I know working with Vacation Land, where I had property, we're very fortunate that we have an individual who's been able to keep them apprised and has talked to the highest level of the loan program there to keep alive a loan. This is 6 years. It's been 6 years. And they've never had this kind of experience. In fact, I had someone at the state Deep Ed program recently tell me that our recovery is one of the least successful, standing behind only Hurricane Katrina, which occurred in 2005. And that's not a good thing to hear. I'm glad that we as a community have built up the ability to, or the resolve to be more resilient. And it's part of the reason that Malamo Puna that I work with has really emphasized the food security programs that it's working on. But when you step back and look at the federal government's perspective, we're just this little bitty population, and they really, I don't know that they really understood how to work closely with us. But we're effectively teaching them from our experience. So hopefully that'll carry over. Change of commands have happened in FEMA, change of commands have happened in SBA. So hopefully they'll learn from this experience and be better tuned in for disasters in Hawaii.
I did recently hear that the FEMA has this new community disaster resilience zone program, and so they're starting to roll it out. There are 3 tracks in Hawaii Island. There's one in Hilo, one in Kau, and then the other one is not really Puna Makai. It's closer to Hilo there, but it's a door, it's a pathway, and hopefully that'll lead to further things.
Good.
For sure.
I'd like to add one more thing, which is one thing that we noticed both during the Kilauea eruption and then again in Maui, specific to animal groups, because that's what we're paying attention to, but I know there were other types of groups as well, is disaster vultures. Basically, they're nonprofits that come in and raise tens of thousands of dollars saying they're coming in to help. They come in for 3 days and then they leave. And then they continue to fundraise about that. And that's another one of the reasons why we, as the actual organizations on the ground, have to really focus on building that trust and making and those relationships with the state, the county, and everybody, for them to understand that we are the ones, and not just them, the public, because the public thinks, oh, I know this national name, they came in, they helped, they give them money, and what did they really do? And so that happened in both instances. So that's telling me that that's not improving right now, and so that's something that we need to hopefully help people understand, is those national organizations that are coming in and asking for money, and they're not really contributing in the long run. It's the people on the ground here that are, and those are the ones who need support.
One of the big things that I'd like to give a shout out to would be the Hawaii Community Foundation for their being able to get the money to the people that are actually making the impacts on the ground, and being able to do so in a relatively short amount of time. For the Maui funds, I don't remember how much they took in. Maybe it was 20 million or something like that. It was a huge amount of money, but to shoulder that burden, right? To be able to, take all that money in and then delegate it out to the nonprofits, be able to take, figure out which ones are doing good work and which ones you should be funding and who actually is in the community. I think they did an outstanding job following the Kilauea eruption, and I think they did a good job following Maui as well. So I just wanted to give them a shout out. All right. Well, we were talking about the community, and we our next question is about specifically that. How has the community been able to improve its resilience since 2018? So what do we have now that we didn't have then, and from your point of view, that is actually going to make an impact?
Well, we got each other. And that's, I thank you, because as soon as Lori mentioned, the funders and the money coming in, and Hawaii Community Foundation was the first one that really came to my mind, and they've been the facilitators for distributing the Puna Strong Grant Program, and like really being able to put the money in the needs of the hands of the people that are doing the work within our community, right? Like, so being able to building our capacity around organizations within our community that are helping, like the boots on the ground, right? And that are doing the work within our communities. So I feel like, that's one thing in our favor, is like really building our capacity amongst organizations, and like strengthening our partnerships and our relationships, and like really getting to learn like who is doing what within our community, and like building that trust blanket, I guess you can call it. I'm not sure. No, I mean, like, because we know who we can trust within our hui, right? Like that they've been facilitating this for the past couple of years, specifically through the Puna Strong Grant program. And like, I think that's been something that's really been beneficial, and it's improved. And, identifying like with Vibrant Hawaii with the resilience hubs, and like creating these places where people can go to, and like there's just been a lot, I feel like, that's really come out of this this last 6 years. So I'm just, I'm thankful for all of us that are here today.
I will say that I believe what we didn't have before, is the county's ear. And I'm thankful that they've given us a seat at the table so that we can help in these matters of recovery, which I believe will go on for at least another few years. And I'm trusting that the support that the county administration has given our community will continue, because, the county is nothing except the people, right? We are the county. And I'm appreciative for the grant process that they've afforded our nonprofits. And I'm very thankful that we still, like Leila said, have each other. We're still here. And we've also, what we've got, for me, I've got personally, is a lot of very good new relationships with people I never knew before, but I know I can count on them, and they know they can count on me. And this is where I think the core of our Puna is still intact and growing every day. And I'm just hoping that our newcomers realize our special community that they're coming into. And, just on that note, for the future reference, I would like the county to charge a $100,000 fee for people who move here, so they can contribute immediately to our community instead of just doing investments. Okay, I'm Paul. Mahalo.
That's a tall order, Kule. I don't know that they can constitute do that.
50 grand? How about 50?
It's not, I don't know if that's even possible, but I understand the sentiment. I do. In terms of, have we improved resiliency since 2018? I just want to go back to the definition of what resiliency really means. It's an ability to recover from or adjust easily to adversity or change. Has that improved in Puna? Yes, it has. But there's certain things that in the process of recovery, we seem to have overlooked. And I hate to speak as an economist, but I am one, a working, teaching resource economist. And something we seem to have overlooked is instilling some kind of economic incentives into our community. We all can see that our Pahoa village is in really poor shape, and businesses can't exist when there's no commercial insurance and there's inadequate night lighting, there's crime and homelessness. It's through the roof. I've lived here 44 years and I've never seen Pahoa village in such bad shape. So we can't expect new businesses to be attracted to set up shop here. And we're really losing a very historic town. And that to me is very sad. Our whole Pahoa village is now recentered around a shopping center. It's a great shopping center, although I gotta say, we now have the most expensive supermarket on the island, serving the most economically challenged population. I don't know how that works out for them, but it's certainly difficult for the population here. And so it hurts me to see the demise of our very historic village. And I understand I was at Main Street Pahoa, their meeting this morning, their monthly meeting, and we're hearing from the business owners who are just, they can't survive with the theft and criminal activity, people burning down signs, people burning parts of their buildings. They can't exist with this type of kind of lawlessness. And there's a lot of people who want to bring positive energy into our Pahoa village, but they're not being incentivized to do so. And I think that's one piece of the economic or the recovery program that has been massively overlooked, is that economic part of it. So I wish we emphasize that a little bit more. I think we would, we need to save our town.
Wow, that is heartbreaking that our community is suffering like that. Economically, yeah, we are suffering, but we have been for a long time. We have been that way for a long time. But I think on a side note that there's more youth-oriented activities, more cultural oriented activities going on. There's a lot more food distributions that's going on. Tons of farmers markets that came up. The sad thing about those farmers markets is that it's still foods that's being brought in. It's not our Puna foods that should be grown and going to there. So that's one aspect of that. But if I look at the overall disaster resilience piece, there's more educational pieces going on. There's a lot of trainings going on. There's a little bit more a spark in organizations that's really strategizing how that they're going to take care of disasters and what they're going to do. and how they're going to do them and with whom they're going to do it. So in terms of a disaster relief improvement, our community is somewhat and becoming resilient as we need it to be, and as or the best it can be. And I think that means that all of our organizations somehow, some way, going to cross paths and going to have to work with each other, right? And that's what I think. And then as far as like, because we know that we are the lowest, the highest poverty rate, in this, and we know we've got all this crime and everything. The more resilient we get, the more people move into Puna, the less resilient we get. So we're getting resilient in areas, but then certain things is coming us and wiping that resilience out. And it's doing it fast. Like for instance, I go around and I clean up areas. I just clean up the area, one big area, big rubbish, everything. The next day, people just dumping rubbish in there. That's one mindset. That's one conscious. That's like poverty conscious going on right now. Everybody feel like, oh, this is where we're supposed to be. Part of the resilience is we got to change that attitude of how people thinking today. So I don't know how we're gonna do that, but we just got to keep on doing what we're doing, because I'm gonna say this: we are Kako. We are making one difference.
Thank you for that, Iopa.
I want to add one fraction of our economic drivers, and that's our tourism, which we must be prepared once Pohoiki Road opens and 137. It'll be an influx of visitors that we need to be prepared for. And we are working diligently to make sure that we understand they have respectful enjoyment of our lands and our waipanas and places that are not just a free-for-all. The HTA, interestingly enough, did a survey of all of their wholesale buyers for Hawaii. And after the eruption, Kumukahi was number one that they wanted to see, and Pohoiki was number two. So right now it's an attractive nuisance, right? But they're going anyway. But I really believe we need to be prepared for when those roads are open, that we have everything in place on our coastline for our protection of our cultural sites and our wahipanas. But talk about economic drivers, that'll be it immediate when those roads are open. And I agree with you, Eileen. It is a really sad state of affairs in Pahoa. I remember days of old when Pahoa Cash and Carry was there and it was a family-oriented town. And I hope and pray that one day we can restore that feeling of safety, enjoyment, and community. Right now, it needs a lot of help. And I think we all need to contribute to that as much as we can. Cleaning it up. I know the police have their hands full, with these people who have nowhere to go and making a lot of bad decisions on the streets of Pahoa. It's time we change that.
Right.
Have there been any discussions as far as the visitors coming back, when that happens, about getting stewards for the area? Yes, awesome.
Leila?
I'd love to hear more. I love that the Pololu steward program is going well. So that would be great to see down there.
So that's a really good segue, I feel like, into just sharing about what, part of that resilience. And I feel like this is like an island-wide thing that's really been created. Like, so through this process of working with different organizations and like really looking at our natural and cultural resources on our coastlines, like in Punamakai, and getting to work with the work down at Pohoiki and within the park infrastructure with our Pohoiki boat ramp, and really identifying and like the stuff that happened down at Ka'akepa with the proposing the boat ramp. It helped us just like really to organize our families and our community together to come together and like really say, okay, this is what we want. But that's been part of what we've been working on over these past couple of years, is really identifying, okay, what is the template or whatever it is that we need to use to really educate people about what we have left and how to be appropriate in these places that we do have. Because for far too long, it's been just a free-for-all for anyone that comes to our area and like just doing what they want. And with this vast influx, I mean, Puna's been the fastest growing district in the last 35 years. COVID made it even worse. People started flocking here even more. You thought the eruption would slow it down. No, it didn't. People are just buying up land like nothing out here. It's pretty crazy what the influx of people that are coming into our community. And so we are, Pohaku Pelemaka and Amakahaloa, have been creating a stewardship program, a pilot model for Pohoiki that will be implemented down at Pohoiki Park, as well as to Kako and Malama, the existing Ohana's properties down there, and working with Dobor at some point to work with the boat ramp down there. But it created this initiative with the research and development amongst our stewardship huis across our island. And there's about 6 organizations right now that are working on stewardship programs within our county parks. So it's been a really cool thing that's come out of this process over the last, I'd say, 3 years. Set a model for other families that are doing stewardship along our coastline as over here as well too, and other areas. So I feel like that's one piece of resilience that we're building amongst ourselves, is like instilling these opportunities for our families and our people of our place to be like paid jobs, stay in Puna, be in Puna, that know Puna the best, to be educating people that are coming into our homes. And so I feel like that's a really awesome thing that's really come out, that's creating this this opportunity for all of us out here. So thanks for asking that. Mahalo.
Well, thanks for the work you're doing, Leila, on the stewardship programs, and you too, EOPA. And Kule, we both been working to provide what we've lost here is ocean access to a large extent. Other than Poiki, there's no place left. And Ahala Nui was wiped out. And so Kule and others have been working on trying to restore that access. And it's been a really interesting project that we're working with Parks and Recreation on. And I got to give a shout out to Maurice Messina, because he's really open to working with community and changing the whole model of how do you maintain county parks to include a public-private partnership kind of approach. So that's a real positive and will really help throughout the island to create greater resiliency for our coastal properties. I agree with you 100% on that. It's good.
Thank you for bringing up Maurice, because I want to kako that he's come a long way, and we're really thankful that he's been very open-minded, and he's really been a big seat at the table for all of us. And so thank you, Eileen, for sharing that. I kako that as well.
So the takeaways is about really engaging our county officials, state reps, those people who make decisions, right? That supposedly supposed to be speaking for us, right? And so I think that is one of the bigger resilience factors that happen too, is I think communication between grassroots organizations and government officials has really came forth this. And it was because I think everybody had that heartfelt place where like we needed to do something, and we all felt responsible as at this point. So and there's a whole bunch of different resilience pieces that is important, like education. um Educating our community to malama our aina and aloha our aina is key. you know teaching educating our ohanas and our community about the rightful names and our own identification and our own kuleana to the space is important. So other areas of resilience is education. Again, is like hoping that when the tourists come to Hawaii, when that happens, because it's gonna happen, But when it does happen, that we are able to share with them, hey, when you come to this space, take off your guys' shoes, brother. You know that kind. And when they come as tourists, after they're done with us, they leave as ohana and they leave as stewards of this space. They're going to educate everybody else wherever they go. Hey, when you come to the Big Island, expect this. No, go over there, go over here, go rap with these people because they're going to show you the real Hawaii. So I think education is key to all of this resilience pieces as well.
All right. Great conversation so far. I think we've even touched upon a bunch of the unanswered questions that we've, had laid out. And I don't even know if we have enough time to dive into some of those because it's like, what do we need to finish up the 2018 recovery? That could go for an hour easily. So instead, I was thinking maybe of asking everybody for your final remarks. Again, thanks everybody for participating in this. We are coming up on our scheduled time. So bigger closing remarks, anything you want to get off your chest that hasn't been said yet, this would be your opportunity to do so. And I think we'll go in the reverse order of last time as the introduction. So Layla, do you want to start with that?
Sure. I what just kind of resonated with me throughout this conversation is I feel like we can be this vessel that really helps to educate. We all have our different areas of expertise and areas that we work in, and like really having this continuous effort of like really help, because if how do we educate those that are here, right? Like, and especially in times of preparedness for disasters, like, well, you shouldn't be down by the ocean in this area during high surf, whatever it is, like those kinds of things. Like, I just, I feel really good that that we have this hui, I really do, and the relationships we built over these years, and that makes me feel really good. Started out really emotional. This is a really emotional day for me, for a lot of us in this whole recovery process, because we still are in recovery. I mean, so many people are still in recovery, and it's going to be years till we even see the light at the end of the tunnel. What's so awesome is when HVERI said tonight that June, the end of June, they're going to start construction on one of our first roads.
Yeah.
And we're going to go bless that part. And we're going to, our boat ramp coming up, Auntie. Yeah, what do you call it? A lot of good things. I just can't wait to see the action of all the work we've been all doing, like all these years, So thank you so much, everybody. Thanks, Dana Phil. Mahalo.
All right. Iopa, you want to take us away?
Sure. Yeah, we could talk for hours here, but I don't think this group talks any much more than we do what we do, and I think that we continue to do what we do is in order. We continue to work, we continue to educate, we continue to practice our culture. We continue to be kind to our relatives and our community and our people. We continue to help. We continue to just do the next right thing. We continue to do that. So one day when they build a road at Poiki, that four corners, so I own land right there by um the old Mauna Kea Ponds, Ahualoa Ponds, right across the street. So my goal is that when the county start building the road, going through there and laying down the water line and all of that good stuff, I'm gonna build me one. I'm gonna set me up one chair and one perch. And I'm gonna sit down on my aina and I just go and direct everybody what to do. We are like this, what I like happen over here, and all this kind of stuff. That's my dream. That's what I'm gonna do when I see Maurice guys and DPW guys come over there, and especially our next mayor when they come bless the place. Like, hey, you guys bless them this way. I'm gonna sit on my aina and I'm gonna just reflect on all these past couple years that was going on. That's my goal. It's my dream. I hope I live that long to see that, you know. Um, but as far as this working group, we continue to do our hana and we're gonna be all right.
Oh, thank you, Opa. All right. I believe next was Lori. Do you have any closing remarks? Things that you'd like to say that we haven't said yet?
Sure. I mean, well, I can't say they haven't been said yet, but just to reinforce, we as an organization are so grateful to have all of you working towards the ultimate same goal that we all have. We're extremely grateful to be part of the county's efforts and yeah, spay, neuter, microchip your animals and support your local organizations, whether that's a donation, whether that's sharing a post, whether that's volunteering. These are the organizations on the ground doing the work, and they need everybody's support, whether you're here in Punamakai, on the continent, wherever you are. These are the organizations that obviously know what's going on, know what they're talking about, and need everybody's support. So yeah, thanks you guys.
Thank you. And then we will go to it was Kule next, right? Auntie Kule. Any closing remarks or final statements you'd like to make? Thanks again for joining us.
Mahalo, Jane, for having me. I'm in good company and we have a great community. I want to make sure that we all remember we must take care of each other. This is a long road for recovery, but we are going to be here after recovery is out. We have a lot of people that need help. Please don't be afraid to ask for it. And as far as getting things done, have your voice heard. Make sure and be respectful, but when you need something, ask. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And I'm hopeful and thankful that we'll continue to be together in our various roles. And I want to thank our community for being strong. Stay strong. We have a lot more good work ahead. Mahalo for having me.
All right. And finally, coming back to where we all started this roundtable, Eileen, any closing remarks to finish us out?
Well, thank you. Kudos to Dane and Phil. You guys are amazing. The work you did in 2018, utterly amazing. It really helped us survive a very traumatic event. And I've gotten to know most of you pretty well through the last 6 years. Kule and I are the older aunties. I was at an event recently where somebody referred to Layla as auntie and she was a bit shocked, but she's almost there, getting there. So, we've all matured through this experience. And while at first we were told that it would take 5 to 10 years to recover, I really resisted that. And most recovery projects on the mainland have gone at a much faster pace, I must say. But here we are 6 years out, and we're finally starting to see things are getting rolled out. The roads may be recovered within a couple years. And once we have what I think it's Smiley who refers to it as the golden triangle of Puna, once we have that restored so that we can get around again. And I can get down to Poiki in a few minutes rather than taking nearly an hour to go up here, down there, and round. It'll feel so much more connected. I think we'll all feel so much more connected. And so I'm looking forward to that. And I hope that there are some changes at the county that have yet to take place because some of the issues that we've experienced are systemic. They're not superficial. And whether that's going to take another administration or what it's going to take to straighten things out, I can't really say. But there are still some changes that need to be made so that we're all working tightly together to make Puna the best place it can be. And it is a wonderful place to live. So I would like to end with that.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. And I believe that concludes our roundtable. I'd like to thank everybody that joined us today, including the County of Hawaii and with their update. But yeah, the roundtable, I think this was awesome. A lot of the ideas that the conversations that we wanted to have, we didn't even have to, steer the conversation much. It was just naturally going into those points and getting all of the important topics we wanted to talk about. So I appreciate you guys, and I think we can go ahead and end the Zoom call with that. And thanks again.
Yeah. Well, it's just also, I really appreciate you guys. I just want to
Thank you,
by
everyone.
saying the community is our strength, and we're so lucky to be hui with you guys. So thank you so much. We're honored. Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Wow.
Ahui ho.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, guys. Mahalo for joining us on our special presentation. I've been trying to keep an eye on a discussion here, and thank you guys for your support. Yeah, we have so many great members of our community. They all are deserving of support, and we're, like I said, we're just really so lucky to be part of such a vibrant community here in Hawaii. Anything else you want to add, Dane?
No, I think that's basically it. We did have two. I just want to, give some shout outs real quick. We did have 2 donations that came through. Skyjet Ed with a $50 donation says, "Great job, HVERI, and supporting staff and fellow contributors. Appreciate the continued support there." And then we also had IE with an MYR 190 super chat. No comment. Appreciate the support. We also like to again shout out the County of Hawaii, particularly through the Kilauea Recovery Grant and the Puna Strong Funds, and as well as Hawaii Community Foundation. We just, thankful because without the hui, without the support, without you guys viewing, without the shares, the donations, all of it, this wouldn't be happening. And I think in my mind, that would make us less resilient into the grand scheme of things, especially moving into the future where we see things going. So your support now and your support in the past has really helped us get to this point.
For sure, yeah. I think that might be the first Malaysian ringgit we've gotten in our.
That's what I was thinking, Malaysia, but I didn't want to say it out loud without looking first.
So yeah. Anyways, yeah. So we'll be back next week at our regular time on Thursday once again. That is, unless something happens between now and then, such as some renewed activity, something like that. But otherwise, volcanically, hopefully you caught our update at the start of our program today, and we're still in a wait and see mode, right? It's very dynamic, wait and see, and we'll discuss that in the coming weeks. So with that said, from HVERI, the Hawaiian Volcano Education and Resilience Institute, that's Dane DuPont. I'm Philip Ong. Until next week, aloha, everybody.